Welcome to Alchemy Avenue, where we transform in real time, trust the vibe, and grow on purpose. This isn't just a podcast, it's a movement, a reminder that you don't need fixing, just unlocking. Around here, we laugh, we build, we heal, and we elevate, all powered by that deep inner knowing that says, this is exactly where I'm meant to be. You were made for this version of you, so let's expand, let's enjoy it, and let's keep becoming who we already are. Tap in. This is Alchemy Avenue. Hey, what's going on? I hope everyone is doing fantastic, amazing, and moving with clarity and precision. Today, we're going to talk about remembering your name, returning to yourself before you give the world anything. So before we talk about growth, success, how you serve, create, lead, or build, we need to talk about how you remember who you are before you even activate any of those aspects or even try to understand how things are materializing and manifesting in your life. Because if you forget your name, your identity, your center, your truth, everything that's built with that type of amnesia or that type of forgetting is going to require your exhaustion to maintain. It is because you're coming from a place of trying to fulfill something that you don't even know where to fill it up at. So that's going to create just a circle and create some kind of spiral for you to be exhausted, stressed out. So how we're going to go into this episode, it's really about self-remembrance, but it's not about self-improvement. You're not broken, so we're not talking about fixing, and we're not talking about becoming better. We're just remembering who we are as we move forward with anything that we decide to do. So let's get into it today. So this really came up through a story. So for some reason, I've been getting into old manuscripts, old books, like from 1970s and even earlier. Some of them and so some of them have different traditions that they used to do back then. A lot of times, and as quiet as it kept, a lot of people still, and it was a mainstay to practice like hoodoo and a lot of spirituality. Then it intertwined with how people did what they did in church and also throughout their whole life. So all of that intertwined, and I think that's very interesting that during those times and even now, but it's not called, they're not going to call it hoodoo or anything like that or spirituality. They're going to call it, this is just church. This is just church. So I'm talking about from the way that people tend their gardens, the way that they used to create things and do different remedies. If you got sick, if they were sick, somebody else got sick. If someone needed money, they had rituals and different things that they did. People call it prayer, and you're doing things now, but at those times they still practice those things. So for some reason, that's been very, very interesting to me. But a story that I came across was, of course, it was an older lady. She was talking about just remembering who you are, and she used a metaphor of the river. And I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but what she was saying was that the river had forgot its name. So every storm felt like destruction. Every fallen branch felt like an attack. Every dry season felt like death, because the river had forgot who it was, and it was coming from a place, again, trying to create and trying to maintain different things, and it was just tired. When you forget who you are, everything happening to you feels personal. It feels like an attack. You can't even see beyond what is showing up for you right in front of your face. It becomes your identity. Instead of you trying to unpack why this could be happening, everything is an attack. So now you just identify as the situation, even as what you do. You don't identify yourself. You don't tap into who you are. You just identify as the things that you do instead of experience. So what actually happened is that the river, was doing all these different things. All these different things was happening to it. It, have all these different circumstances that come about. A child came, not to take, not to demand, but just to sit there and listen. And through stillness, the river remembered its real name because the child had asked. And it's funny how we go through situations and something as simple as a child asking us the most basic question, because that's what the child did. The child just asked the river. And again, this is all metaphorical. Asked the river, "What's your name?" And the river couldn't really answer. Couldn't really answer it at all. But once it remembered, nothing outside of the river changed. Once you know who you are, the outside circumstances may not change immediately, but your perspective and how you view them, your relationship with them, that changes. So the storms are still going to come, dry seasons, but the river did know. This is weather, not identity. I know who I am. So today's episode, how we're going to unpack this is, I want I say us because it's we're all on this journey, and I want us to return to our inner name, the identity beneath the roles, usefulness, achievements, and output. So why we forget and the cost of forgetting who we are. Whew, that's heavy. That's heavy. So we live in a world that teaches us to define ourselves by usefulness, productivity, service, performance, and output. And this is a big one, and what others need from us. That's a huge one, because you get, and a lot of it starts at childhood because of the way we grow up. Because some of us have had different kind of childhoods where, things weren't always the safest, or you've always had to be on high alert because certain things happened in your childhood. You had to grow up faster than you needed to, or you even should have, because you had adult responsibilities at a very, very, very young age. And some of us had none of that. Some of us just had situations where the expectations really weren't that high. So why strive for more? Or the expectations were too high, and we had to be perfect. We had to hit these marks and keep things moving. So that's what I mean by I say what others need from us. We have other people's expectation, even in our adult life now. Now that we're grown, we're adults, and we have our own kids, some of us, or we have our own lives, and now we can't separate. We can't separate it. So we become rivers that only know ourselves through who we serve, and that creates three identity distortions, really. The useful identity: if I'm not being helpful, I'm not worthy. The performing identity: if I'm not succeeding, I'm falling behind. The peacekeeping identity: if others are uncomfortable, I must shrink. A lot of us do that without even knowing, because we've seen our parents or people that were in charge of us do that, and we're thinking that's the way to be. And it's really, and that has I'm telling you, it has made a stain on us. And then now when we in places and people seem like they're uncomfortable, then we got to change who we are. And we're not even doing nothing. Like, we're not doing anything. We're just being ourselves. Again, we cannot shrink ourselves to fit whatever's going on around us. So this is how people lose themselves while being praised for it. That's the crazier part, is that you get, quote unquote, more attention, or it seems that people are okay with when we shrink versus when we stand up for ourselves and we are fully authentic self. Especially as men too. We are conditioned to do first and feel later. And to me, that's the wrong way to go about it. Because if you ignore how you feel, even if you don't necessarily bring it up, but if you at least sit with how you feel about a situation and be able to unpack it for yourself, there's power in that. Because now you can see things from a different vantage point, and then you get to decide how you want to move from there with clarity. Everything you don't like, or everything that happens to you, it's not an instant blow up. It's not. And I think we think that because other people make it that way. Let me say that again. I think that we are in a headspace that if I say this, and other people are going to blow it out of proportion, and they very well could. Again, How do you still be with yourself knowing you have a concern? And to be honest with you, you're going to have to be okay with bringing the concern up with compassion, bringing it up, or even, saying what you need to say, and then letting things kind of be how they, again, I'm not saying that you have to cuss people. You have to have a big explosion to express how you feel. But if you coming from a calm place, hey, this is boom, 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 and they still take it wrong. Again, you have to be able to live with that, because you cannot control how people take what you say and how you go by, especially if you consciously, as best as you could, came from it in a place of calm and clarity, the best way you know how. I think that gets missed. So we got to understand that we still got to be able to communicate, and still got to be able to say how we feel. And you may not have to at that moment, or you can just swing back. Hey, the other day this happened. I felt this way. Again, you still were able to get it out and not hold it, because once you start to hold it, then resentment and all these different things start to happen. So I'm not saying I'm perfect at it. I'm still working on that. However, I know that it does help, because every time I do, I feel better. And now I can say, okay, I did release that. So again, how I want to set this up is that allowing us to better think to ourselves and understand that how we treat us, how you treat you, is just going to reflect on how other people treat you. So what does self-remembrance actually mean? What is it? Self-remembrance is it's not just confidence. It's not hype. It's not self-care. It's returning to the truth of who you are before the world told you who to be. Who you, depending on what you believe, but either way, you did not come here to be self-servient. You didn't come here to be little, to hold small space, because the the energy that was carved out for you to be here anyway is already huge and enormous. So that's what you came to be. That's what you came to do. In your way, though. In your way. Everybody's way is not going to be the same. So let's understand that. So self-remembrance sounds like I am not my seasons. I'm not my seasons. I am not. I go through seasons. I am not my seasons. I can serve without losing myself. I give from, let me start that over, because I was looking at that. Let me start that over. Self-remembrance sounds like I am not my seasons. I go through seasons, but I am not those seasons. I can serve without losing myself. I give from overflow, not obligation. I am allowed to evolve my boundaries. My worth is not tied to my output. When you remember your name, your inner identity, your inner identity, you step over explaining yourself. You stop abandoning yourself to gain approval. You stop mistaking exhaustion for purpose. You love people without losing power in the process. And I'm not saying you're not going to be tired, because you may have passion, you may be doing what you do, and you're not going to be physically tired and able to, you may have to take some time. But again, you're not overstepping your boundaries for yourself and calling that purpose. I'm living in my purpose, but you're not happy. You don't feel lit up. You just like, I got to do this. I got to do this. So from here, everything you do becomes cleaner, calmer, and more sustainable. How to practice self-remembrance. This is some daily suggestion practice. So there's something not trying to overcomplicate it. It's not even overly complicated at all. Your return doesn't need incense, a retreat, or perfection. Not saying that you can't use those things, but I think sometimes, especially in the spiritual community, you're thinking how I remember myself and how I do certain things have to be a certain way. They don't. They really do not. A 3-minute reset. Pause and ask. Is this, whatever this is, who I am, or who I think I need to be for someone else right now? Is this who I am, or who I think I need to be for someone else right now? Ask yourself that question and sit with that. So identity before action, before you give, before you move, before you do anything, ask yourself, who am I showing up for? Who am I showing up as? The true me or the performing me? So daily boundary check is the next one. A boundary isn't pushing people away. It's literally protecting the environment where the real you can breathe. Next part, micro stillness. A moment of stillness a day keeps you from becoming the storm. Exactly what I mean. Take a second. Take a second. It can literally be 10 seconds. Like, just sit there. Okay. Whoa. Okay. I feel this. This is when you start to get to know who you are, because then you know those feelings come, and then you're able to step right in and say, okay, do I need to, and you feel that part in. Change your tools when you change. What helped past you regulate may not match current you. Let me say that again. What helped past you regulate, so the things that you did in the past that help regulate situations may not match the current you, and that's okay. You just find new ways to have more different things to help regulate and balance and harmonize whatever situation it is. Evolve your healing tools. Your evolution is not disloyal to your past. It's proof that you're alive. So let yourself be human. I'm not saying you'll never get tired, frustrated, or thrown off. We all do. So you may have situations and things that come up that you may not be feeling it. You may wake up and just not feeling it today, and that is okay. I'm not saying that you won't go through any of those human emotions, because you are, regardless. But when you self-remember and you understand that your home base, your regular feeling is in a space of harmony, then when you get in those spaces, then it's faster, or it's easier for you to come back, because you're like, okay, whoa, this don't feel right. This don't feel right at all. So now you get to come back and bring yourself back. So the benefits of remembering yourself first. When you remember who you are before you try to serve or succeed, you stop building resentment, you stop overgiving and under receiving. You show up with clarity and choice, not obligation. People receive you more fully because you're not fragmented. Reason why people can take pieces of you, because that's what you're giving. You're giving pieces of you instead of being your whole self. So they're coming in with your whole self. So now everything you do is from overflow. So people receive you more fully. Your presence hits deeper with less effort. Your relationships improve. Your creativity improves. Leadership and your peace becomes non-negotiable. Useful people get drained. Remember, people become sources. Remember that. You become sources for people, and you determine how you want to be sourced. You determine that. So say your name, however you want to call yourself, however you want to view yourself, but say it with power and clarity. Don't second guess it. Don't be in a space where, this is me. Don't lower yourself, especially when you're building, you praying, meditation, or whatever you do as a practice for yourself. Go to those places with confidence and understand who you are. So look, once you remember who you are, you move different. You make decisions from identity and not insecurities. The way that you show up is very intentional, not through obligation. You create from overflow and not depletion. So moving forward, everything you build hits different because the foundation is you. Anything you do, it will be in a space of more light, because you are the person. Once you get in a space where you understand who you are, you'll better see how powerful you are. Again, just be the simple fact that you're in whatever space you're in or in the situation to help create. So not the version of you that was performing to be accepted, but the one that remembers they were chosen to be here. So here's the real question now. Where have you forgotten your name? Where? Just do a check. And then again, just start moving different. Start moving different. So who you are choosing to be from this point forward, not the name of the world responds to, but the name that your soul recognizes. So say it with your chest, say it loud with clarity, say it like someone who remembers who they are. Because when you move from that identity, I'm telling you, no matter what you do, how you show up, your presence becomes a value because you value yourself. You value you, and now other people can value you. Your alignment becomes impact. Your existence becomes evidence. You don't have to try to be powerful. That part. You don't have to, your power doesn't have to be, boom, it doesn't have to fling everywhere. You just come in and you just are power. That's just your natural state. I'm telling you, when you remember who you are the power. So take this episode as permission, a reminder to be fully you unapologetically. So again, understand who you are. And again, that story that I read, it was very powerful in that understanding that a river flows. But then if you don't know who you are, all those different things could distract you and it become so heavy instead of allowing it to be, okay, is a lesson here? Okay, let me take that. And you better keep moving without a hitch. So, awesome. So remember, Avenue Talks. Hit me up if you want to co-create and build with anything. 336-464-7881. Alchemy Avenue 859@gmail.com. We can DM me on TikTok and Instagram at Alchemy Avenue. So look, greatly appreciate you being here to be able to co-create with this episode. Have a great one, and we'll see you next time. Ashe.